So why don't we start them off with the top 5 varieties that someone should consider?
Okay. So glad we're getting into this because, this question does pop up a lot, and this is going to set you up to want to grow dragon fruit long term. Nothing sucks more than growing dragon fruit, not being able to try the fruit, and then giving up without ever getting a reward, right?
That could be the saddest thing in the world, right? Yeah.
And that's a story that I hear a lot of the times until people run into my dragon fruit channel, grafting dragon fruit. I actually have a video about that. What are the top 5 beginner varieties to grow? So if you guys are ever interested, you guys can go there and check it out. But top 5 would be sugar dragon. We talk a little bit about sugar dragon, how they're self-fertile, but you need to hand pollinate them. But I still think it's worth it because, one, they produce massive amount of fruits and they do a lot of pushes. So dragon fruit don't only fruit once. During the summertime, they can actually have 4 to 5 waves. So if you're lucky and you live in climates that's really good, you can get 3 waves. But if you're in a condition where we are, California, we can get like 4 or 5 waves of them pushing flowers and fruits out. So you can eat them 4 or 5 times throughout the year. Sugar dragon, self-fertile, but you need to hand pollinate.
Smaller fruit too.
Smaller fruit,
right?
But they make up in the amount of fruits they can produce throughout the whole year.
Yeah,
the whole
sugar
season.
dragon, I mean, I have it in my garden, and it's far and away the most prolific one. I mean, you have like a bushel full of the sugar dragon.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's nice to, it's not always so bad that something is small, because sometimes that flavor is like more concentrated.
Yeah.
But also it's more of like a little personal snack instead of going out. I mean, there's one, I forgot if it's Red Laverne or Red Jane. I think it's Red Laverne.
Yeah.
We saw a 3.2 pound fruit off of Red Laverne. So like you need a family for that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You're not gonna finish 3 pounds. You can't even if you tried. It's just
You'd
way
have a
too
hard
much.
time in the restroom probably.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You'll go right after you finish
You'll
that
have a
3
really hard
pounds.
time. But okay, so sugar dragon, and that's readily available. And if someone like
Wants to know where to get all these, do you have a good source right now?
Sugar dragon, yeah, sugar dragon is probably one of those beginner varieties that everybody has them. It's kind of like a staple. Like when you're starting tomato, what's like your common tomato variety?
Yeah, you'd have like a, I don't know, like a sweet 100 cherry or something like that.
So if you're a dragon fruit grower and you're into growing dragon fruit, most of the time you're gonna have sugar dragon already, and it's very easy to find. They're relatively great in price too. They go for about $10 to $15 a cutting.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and they can go up, all the way up to like $75 to $100 a cutting.
Depends on what the size of it is.
Depends how the rarity is, what size, what flavor you're looking for.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about dragon fruit is, they can all have different terps.
Yeah.
Some can taste like super tropical. Some has the coconut hints in it.
That is so true. And I didn't really believe
you, frankly, because the thing that happens a lot, and we'll get to the next dragon fruit varieties in a second as we share the stories. Ever since I got into it, I've been making videos on dragon fruit and sharing my love of it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I always hear is like, why are you so obsessed with this bland kiwi? And I'm like, you just don't know, man, because when you harvest a dragon fruit, it doesn't ripen off the plant. Right? So to transport it, you have to harvest it early.
Yep.
So anything by default you're buying
from a grocery store is simply unripe.
Yeah.
And so you never get the flavor unless you have it right off the plant, which is why you should be growing it
at home. Okay, so we have sugar dragon.
Yeah.
What's our next shot?
Second one will be American Beauty. And this one is just like Vietnam White, but it tastes 10 times better.
Yeah.
Their flavor is like very berry-like. You're gonna get the very berry grape texture-ish flavor from American Beauty. They're self-fertile and self-pollinating. So this is the type where you can just forget about it.
Easy.
Just water it. When it flowers, it'll pollinate itself.
Yeah.
35, 40 days, come and harvest the fruit.
American Beauty is the one that I have eaten. I actually went up to your place and we did that big tour.
Yeah.
And I ate it, and I think the way I compared it was when you go to the Sweet Factory as a kid.
Yeah.
You know the Sweet Factory?
Yeah.
There's those raspberry and blackberry little like gumdrop candies with all the dots on them.
Yeah, I remember.
It kind of tastes like that.
Yeah.
It tastes like that. Almost like you soaked that in water and it was like, that's the juice or something?
Yeah,
I don't know how to put it.
I know exactly.
Hopefully I'm not making that too unappetizing.
No. That's like, I get like a candy, berry flavor, but then you get like that water gushiness, watered down from all the juices of a dragon fruit. But it's still really good, staple too. You can
easy to grow.
Easy to grow. Again, that pollen can be used to cross-pollinate anything. So Sugar Dragon, American Beauty, those two are just so superior because they also flower very early in the season.
Okay.
So if you have a dragon fruit that likes to flower during later mid-season, you're gonna have all this pollen ready. So what I do is I take pollen and I freeze them.
Okay.
You can freeze pollen and they're good up to like 6 to 8 months. Whenever, let's say I don't have any Sugar Dragon or American Beauties opening that night, and I have a self-stir variety that needs cross-pollination from a different variety, I can just go to my freezer, whip out those pollen, and then pollinate them, and we're good. And I think you've done that on your live before.
No, I did do it. I'm sort of dabbling with some of the more advanced techniques, which we're going to do an episode on some of the pro techniques you can do once you get into dragon fruit. So we've got American Beauty, we've got Sugar Dragon. What's our next shot?
We got Condor.
Oh yeah, okay. I forgot about Condor.
Yeah. So Condor is related to American Beauty. Their genus is a Guatemalensis. So those type of flavor, once you hear like Guatemalensis, you just know they're gonna be good. They always have like the same American Beauty flavor profile.
Like a little bit of the berry.
Yeah, but they can either be sweeter or they can be more tardy. The thing with that type of variety is they can be very sweet or very tardy. Versus Vietnam White, it's just bland. You don't have any of those contrasts. So yeah, a Condor is also a very good one. Self-fertile, but doesn't like its pollen.
Oh, interesting.
So
it's like it doesn't set as easily?
It sets, but the fruit doesn't grow big.
Oh, so it prefers a cross, but it can do on its own.
It'll grow fruit about, like usually condors are like this big. You'll get like 1 pound
like
of
a
fruit.
Baseball.
Yeah, easily. But if you pollinate it with its own pollen, they just they grow, but they're like the smallest golf ball fruit.
Weird. Is the flavor difference?
The flavor is the same, but the fruit just looks immature for some reason.
Interesting. Wow.
It's like it likes its pollen, but it doesn't love its pollen.
I haven't heard of that quality before. That's interesting.
So that's something I just finally started realizing, because there was this whole like talk and forum about going how Condor is self-stir or self-fertile, and no one could really pinpoint what it was.
And you figured it out.
Yeah, I'm like, it's self-fertile, it just doesn't like its own pollen.
So you basically did an experiment.
Yeah.
Right? Crossing it,
and then doing it, tying a net over so bees don't come and accidentally cross-pollinate.
I mean, that's classical when we do, for our seed company, Botanical Interests, when we do growing out of a particular variety, we talk to one of our production growers. We say, hey, we want this particular tomato. They do the same exact thing. They're taking the parent lines and crossing and making sure that exactly what they want to crosses and all the bags and all that.
So yeah, no, it's really cool to see the parallels.
So Condor.
Yeah.
Then we have what's our next one?
Condor. So Vietnamese White would be one of my. This is for anyone that just wants to eat dragon fruit, want to go through the process, and just
wants to play the game.
Yeah. It's this. Everybody that gets in dragon fruit grows this variety.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Everyone goes through this first, and it just gives you. It just sets you up to understand the whole process of how it goes, the flowering cycle, how they like to grow.
Yeah.
You can just basically observe, and then once you get confident enough, you can go and even collect the pollen from the Vietnamese White just to get your hands experience with everything, the whole process of it.
You know what? That's actually, I think that's a good way to put it. It's your first dragon fruit, and maybe it's only there for a season.
Yeah.
If you get hooked, you won't be like, there's no Vietnam White in my yard, right?
But it is probably the one you gave me, or one of the ones you gave me very early on, just because you're right. It's so damn easy to grow.
Yeah.
Not much to say of the flavor. Still certainly better if you eat it for your garden than if you buy it from the store.
Of course.
Obviously way cheaper. So Vietnam White is our fourth. What is our fifth?
Our fifth would be Pink Panther.
I don't think I've eaten or grown that one yet, actually. So I don't think.
Pink Panther is a sister of Sugar Dragon.
Okay.
But the flavor of that one is like crystallized sugar.
Oh.
So if you are somebody that likes, have a very sweet tooth, you cannot miss on this. You can harvest, and why Pink Panther is one of the 5 that's on there is because you can literally harvest this fruit green, and it'll still taste like sugar, like crystallized sugar. Yeah.
And it wants to be red in the end, right?
It wants to be red at the end, and once it gets red, it just the firmness of the flesh will change, but the flavor just gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter.
So it's a little softer flesh.
Yeah, softer flesh. But you can harvest it early.
Interesting.
And get that firm flesh and a little bit of acid in it, and have that super sweetness flavor.
So it's almost ripe when it's unripe is one way to put it.
Exactly.
Right? Flavor profile wise.
Flavor profile.
Huh. Interesting.